make like Osha/May in every single episode of this and wake up. It's time for another episode. These aren't episodes anymore. Like, what happened in this one?
This is almost like I'm watching a kids' TV show where the episodes, you don't have to kind of watch them in order. Nothing really important happens, but it's just something you catch at the end of a day.
All the momentum from last week is completely gone. The goal of this week is said in the title, teach/corrupt. So one of our people have to get taught and the other person has to get corrupted. The next one's going to be a flashback again, probably, which is weird to do for your second last episode, which just means you're relying way too much on that mystery to actually bring anything forward. Them swapping places should be halfway through the show.
I feel like there could be so much more after this, but that they have to wrap it up in 2 episodes' time.
In a Leslie Headland interview, it sounds like she knows what she's talking about. Like, everyone keeps saying that, oh, Leslie Headland doesn't know Star Wars. And according to the show, it seems like she doesn't know writing. But it seems like she had a good idea for the actual show itself. But then I don't know why none of that was executed on screen. Like, did we end up with none of it because of the 8-episode structure? Like, were they forced into 8 half-hour episodes? Because no one grows in this episode. It's literally like you watch the first 10 minutes of an episode, but then they've stretched that over 25 minutes instead. Because all that really happens is Osha wakes up, sees a pee-pee, and she's like, oh, maybe the dark side isn't so bad, weirdly, considering the 2 friends she's made recently were murdered by this guy. But she's conflicted suddenly.
Well, it's because every villain has to be like a sob story who's also like has a point. It's like, but I only became a villain because I was hurt before.
He says that he only killed the Jedi because he was defending himself, but he was only on the planet to kill a Jedi. So it's just nonsensical bullshit just so that they can end up talking in like pseudo-philosophical means. He's like, it's a very clunky way of saying, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yes. I feel like he does that kind of like word
spaghetti.
He's like trying to do like word arithmetic at her.
He's meant to be seducing her to the dark side.
Yeah.
But they take that really weirdly sexually, and she sees him naked and she goes from pretty much ready to kill him, right? So she gets a knife at the beginning of the episode, and then she gets his lightsaber because he's taken a dip. He's taking a little skinny dip.
Yeah.
And instead of it being like, I will still kill him, she's like, oh, he's naked and vulnerable now, and he has a scar on his back. I can fix him.
It's so funny because she's like, I'm here as a prisoner, aren't I? And he's like, you're the one with the lightsaber. You don't look like a prisoner. You got her to this planet. She woke up in your Sith cave and she doesn't know how to get off the planet.
You shouldn't call it a Sith cave.
That's almost the definition of she's a prisoner. She can't just leave. She's on an island in the middle of the ocean.
And the ship's on another island because that's how you would do that.
Yes.
Like, you would only park your ship in a place that's only available low tide. He's spitting pseudo-philosophical babble at her, and that's convincing her not to attack. Not in any sensical mean. I still also don't feel like I even know Osha. So it's kind of hard for me to think that, oh, maybe she could be seduced by the dark side. The only person we've seen her have a proper relationship with was Jackie. Like, I could see them doing a relationship with Jackie. And if this is the gayest Star Wars ever, wouldn't that make more sense?
Both May and Osha, they've made them change their characters so much. Like, they almost go through like a whole character arc in every episode, and like they're like going like 180s to 180s every episode.
May's was weird because hers were happening on screen. So May would make a decision, then the next scene should do something completely different. So she's like, oh, I'm going to kill the Jedi. Oh, I don't want to kill the Jedi. I love my sister. Oh, I'm going to kill my sister. Oh, I'm going to turn myself into the Jedi. Oh, I'm going to kill the Jedi. Oh, I'm going to use Soul to figure out what happened as a child. Although also, wouldn't she know what happened to her as a child? Because she was there. Like, she woke up, right?
Which one?
She woke
May?
up next to the bunta tree.
Okay, yep.
Also, how did she wake up next? What the why did she wake up
because
next to
Soul probably took her there. That's what he's...
No, Soul thought she died, fell down the cliff.
But
we see Soul leave, like, immediately.
But he knows. I bet he knows.
Yeah, it's like you'd think she would know what happened, but then I remembered that the whole mountain exploded, which means all the dead bodies were probably more dead.
She was shielded in the corpses of her dead
She got launched,
space mothers.
and then she woke up.
Very true. Osha goes through the same.
But off screen, which is weird.
You meet her and she wants to be as far away from the Jedi. It flashes back, she wants to be a Jedi. She escapes from the Jedi and crashes on like a planet, and then she wants to join them again, and then she wants to find her sister.
Then no, she wants to not find her sister, and then she wants to find her sister.
And then she wants to now be a Sith, maybe, or at least is like entertaining the idea of
they're just
being a Sith.
They're just such non-characters, and it's happening in such non-episodes. Because again, she wakes up, she gets flooded with a little, and then the episode ends. Whereas May wakes up. Does May wake up this episode? No, May's already awake. May's on the ship. She's going to kill Sol. She decides not to kill Sol. And then they leave. She has one conversation with him, gets shot in the back, wakes up. She does wake up in the episode because she gets knocked out. And then when she wakes up, she has another conversation tied to a bed. And then the episode ends. It's like, this really is the first 10 minutes of an episode in the middle of a season. There's just so little going on here.
It's so weird. So obviously Leslie's Nepo wife partner has the cool purple whip. So every character, if they're not interesting enough, you just give them a cool lightsaber. You know, Kylo, you give him the crossguard lightsaber.
Oh, that's cool.
Green Lady, you give her the whip lightsaber. And then I'm sure May's going to have one that's a big subscribe button. I'm at the moment rewatching Gen V, the boys spin-off show, and I've been telling Dan this whole time. So that show is also an 8-episode spin-off show. That show does so much with 8 episodes, even though each episode is like 10 to 15 minutes longer than your average one of these.
I'd say it has to be closer to double, to be honest.
Well, yeah, some of these episodes, like the day and night episodes were like so short. But even still, they had an 8-episode. They still stuck to 8 episodes.
And it costs less.
But even if those episodes were only half of them, there's something always going on. There's always like solid character development happening every episode. They're grabbing from this. And I don't understand. The boys' universe is like small already, but this has an entire universe that they can pick as much as they want, as little or as much.
It's got all the High Republic comics.
For some reason, this has more to work with and does less. I don't understand. This just feels so slow.
Well, it had characters, like it had Yeki and Jeki and Yord.
Yeki and Jeki.
But they don't use them. Like, Yord stays completely stagnant his entire time and then gets his neck snapped. Jeki is the most interesting person we've had, and then she also gets completely deleted.
They haven't perfected putting Star Wars into television yet. I think they're trying to make a movie into a TV show where like they're trying to use the same pacing techniques. It's not working. I don't think you should have necessarily slow episodes of a TV show. They should all make you feel good for watching them. Whereas like this would be an episode, or the day episode would be one that I skip on a rewatch.
Yeah, like there's no reason to have a 20-minute build-up episode where all you're doing is getting characters from A to B.
Whereas like I'd never skip an episode if I was rewatching like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or a good television series. I would never skip an episode. Whereas this one, I feel like so much inconsequential stuff. I'd skip the kids episode. I'd skip the day episode.
The kids episode has had so little bearing on anything. It's so
Even
funny.
the Torbjorn episode. It's all just so unimportant and uninteresting.
I don't even know if they'll be able to do like a movie-length supercut out of this, like how they did with the Obi-Wan movie. There's so little going on here, and it's all hinging around making us wait 8 weeks to find out a mystery. That's all it is. That's why they did episode 3. Episode 3 did no real character work apart from, one twin wanted to be a witch, one wanted to be a Jedi. And then they grew up so dramatically that it doesn't matter at all anymore. So the only thing episode 3 actually gave us was the fact that there are a bunch of dead witches. We said from the very beginning that the Ahsoka flashback episode was like episode 5 or 6. And it feels like episode 3 was supposed to be episode 5 or 6. But they realized that there was no actual drive, like there was no real mystery, so they had to move it so much further forward.
Yeah.
And then it was so inconsequential to everything else that it's just kind of like, it's there to focus a mystery. Without the mystery, this show has nothing except bad acting. I feel bad. Manny Jacinto this episode had nothing to do, which was lame. Like, he just walked around. Whereas last week, he was actually really intimidating.
It's interesting. It's like night and day with his character. Last week, it's like, oh, okay, this is a believable Sith.
Minus his drive of, I want an Acolyte.
But he's giving strong monologues. He's saying things that are like almost like hurtful to a Jedi, like to hear, you know, about like emotions and how they're fighting and, you know, losing people and like getting emotions into it. But then in this one, maybe because he doesn't have the backboard of like battle and like the grit of fighting to bounce himself off, he just has to like monologue on a beach or monologue in a hut. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to get across here is he just has to be moody.
Seductive.
That's the one thing you don't see. It's like, yeah, but what was Darth Maul doing when he was in the kitchen cooking soup?
He was shirtless, being sexy.
This guy, honestly, he has a challenge set out for him where they're like, I want a Sith who he's sitting there and he's making soup and he's trying to tell a fallen Jedi Padawan about his story and to kind of get them onto his side and tell him about how he's been ashamed and beaten by the Jedi. Can you do that for us? And he's like, yeah, sure. Takes off his shirt.
And it doesn't help him at all that because they need to stretch it out, Osha and Qimir will say something and then the scene will end and we'll go see May and Sol for like 3 seconds. They'll do one tiny thing, like they'll go from one room to the next room. Like I think one of the cuts is May goes to check on the engine room and then it cuts back to Qimir and Osha. Like they have so little to do that they keep just Star Wars wiping just to stretch it out. Because really, this is one 5-minute conversation and another 5-minute conversation stretched out to half an hour.
But you forget, we also had another 5-minute conversation of Leslie Headland's girlfriend telling off a little twink Jedi.
She has so little to do.
But don't you get spaceship sick when you go in the spaceship? And she's like, I don't like travel. Is that okay with you? And he's like, okay.
And you could say Obi-Wan didn't like flying, but he wasn't like, oh, I get a tummy ache about it. But I think Leslie Headland's wife is only in this episode.
Because nepotism.
So that we can see her use her whip. It's funny that whip made it into the trailer so that people will be like, oh, Star Wars whip. Whereas it's literally only in this to cut a bug in half and to show us that she has the
One
whip.
of those nocturnal bugs that they showed us only comes out at nighttime and it's attracted to light. One of those ones.
She's only in this episode so that she can use her whip so that we can go, oh, whip. Qamir's back scars. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And also so many people know that there's a bunch of dead Jedi via a lightsaber. So now they're trying to very flimsily pin it all on Sol.
They have to kill 3 more Jedi and Sol.
And a twink.
Yes.
But they need to pin it on Sol so that the canon of Sith not around for a millennia stays intact. I don't care about the canon, honestly. I don't care that Ki-Adi-Mundi's alive. It's stupid. But I don't care. What's stupid is that Leslie Headland's wife's decision to pin it on Sol comes from the fact that they still kind of want to keep the canon and / she's evil. So that's why she's keeping stuff from the High Council. It just makes no sense.
Is that what the corruption's talking about? Or is it talking about Osha being corrupt? Makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness. Well, Osha's just horny all the time.
Also, how did you feel about him? He's like fixing his mask. And I don't know what the line that Osha says to prompt it, but he's like, I yearn for 2 or whatever he says.
She's like, what do you want? And he's like, the power of 2.
The power of 2.
So if he's not connected to the witches in any way, then that is the dumbest thing ever.
Is this the originator / like, is he just talking about rule of 2? Is he talking about Osha and May? Does he
I don't even know how old he is.
The power of 2, the power of 1, the power of many.
I can't believe how twinky that guy is.
There he is. Oh, quick. I have to deliver bad news. They're all dead. How was that? Good? Okay. I hated it.
I mean, his acting in general was terrible.
His acting was horrible.
And also, how do you be such a wimpy Jedi? Like, you train your whole life and you come out like that? That sucks. That's unlucky, bro.
I want it to be so much more. I want it to be more.
I feel like it could be. I feel like you have the ingredients. Like, you got Jecki. Even Jecki and Yord could have had something going on, but instead they were nothing and now they're dead.
We see their rotting corpses.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's just such a waste of time. And like Sol decided to not stick around for like backup, even though they knew where he was. So he just went off to who knows where. Everyone just does something stupid in this episode.
Also, they did like jump out and jump in within like 1 second of each other.
Lucky.
I'm like, come on. You kind of touched on it before. I wanted to bring it up. Leslie's the one with the glasses, right? Leslie Headland?
Yes.
She, in all her interviews, she's saying the right buzzwords to make you think or, you know, to convince you that she is a Star Wars fan. Like, she's saying things like practical puppets and practical alien costumes. Like, people love that shit. And I play D&D and like, this is kind of based off a D&D campaign and this character, or I want to do something with this character from like a KOTOR game.
She puts the Kylo Ren theme in there because that's important. I'm sick of Russell T Davies did it with Doctor Who as well. They talk about the upcoming episodes in interviews between episodes to build hype for the next episode. And it feels like the actual creator is doing more legwork that isn't making it onto the screen. Like, she says a bunch of stuff that sounds great, but then the way she talks about Qimir, actually, and there's his statement of purpose that comes right before the moment you're like, man, somebody must have effed this guy. Somebody must have tried to take this guy's freedom. What? Because he's not effing around in terms of protecting himself and what he has to do. What does he have to do? He's going out of his way to kill people. He's not the good guy.
I hate this whole like honest system when it comes to fighting Nazis in space.
Well, it's the reason Osha doesn't kill him in this episode.
It's like, I'm unarmed. It's like, yeah, but if Hitler wasn't pointing the gun at me, I'd still take the shot.
They have superpowers.
He's always armed.
He can force push you away.
He has arms. He's armed.
He could force choke you. He's holding the lightsaber at one point and she's still not killing him. There's just...
She could end everything right now.
Maybe she wouldn't, but I haven't seen that in her character, so I have no idea.
Part of her character, or what they were painting her character as, was she wanted to be a good guy again. She was excited about tapping back into the Force.
Well, they don't even really go into why she left the Jedi. They play it like mysteriously.
She said, I failed my test.
She says that in this episode.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Like, you failed a test, like, actually, or there's something bigger that happened. How are you going to show that in 2 episodes?
I don't think we're ever going to find out. Like, how in 2 half-hour episodes coming up, or even 2 45s, how are they in any way going to wrap up this story?
You have to show the background of Qimir. You have to show the background of Mayor Osha, what happened on the planet, how Osha got kicked out of the Jedi Temple,
how Soul betrayed,
how
Soul did evil, how Green
Lady became that, how they're going to cover up this whole thing, and also kill or murder, plus have regular story happening in like present day, as well as all those flashbacks.
Yeah, neither of them are anywhere near completing an arc or even starting an arc, to be honest. If they actually had kept May on the path of, I actually care about my sister from episode 4, then it's like that would have actually been her on her character journey. She's like, I'm doing revenge because they killed my family. Oh wait, my sister's alive. That's more important. Like, they started her on an arc and then they just turned it off. It's nonsensical.
I'm worried that Leslie wrote this to be like a 2 or 3 season long thing where it's Star Wars TV. You can't have storylines that carry over 3 seasons. I'm sorry. It needs to be, you need to wrap it up in one because there's a 70% chance you're not getting...
You're going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
Well, Andor was years ago.
Ahsoka, where's that season 2, huh?
That was only last year, though.
I haven't heard a peep.
But this is not a good episode. Last week was watchable. Like, last week you're at least like, that's cool. Like, that's shocking.
I'm sick of the Star Wars fandom last week. That was worded funny. I'm sick of how the Acolyte protectors finally banded together. Like, they got a checkmate on...
Where are you laughing now?
On the haters. Like, we're haters. No, we're people who are hurt by this. We are Qimir. They were like, best lightsaber combat since episode 3, best fight scenes, best storytelling, best reveals, best force, best this, where's your comeback now,
I disagree with that whole thing just because like Soul would vanish for like half the fight, then Jackie would vanish. So like it wasn't well choreographed. It was flashy. It was very flashy and it's shocking occasionally. It wasn't actually very good. But yes, they used that. They drowned out their own opposition by just commenting like, no one's saying anything bad about this, because you'd have to scroll down way too far to actually find anything bad.
Yeah, but I was talking to the fella from the Game of Thrones and Doctor Who reviews, Steven. I'm not waiting an hour and a half for the good scene in a movie. And even when it is the case, like, I don't know if anybody watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is famous for nothing happens for 2 hours and 50 minutes, and then everything happens in the last 10 minutes, and then credits. This is not that. I'm not waiting in my fantasy TV show. It's a TV show. It has to bring me back every week. That should be the point of when you write the show. What's going to bring them back next week? That should be on the fucking whiteboard.
Well, they don't even have time for a stinger.
What was the stinger of this episode, Daniel? Do you remember it?
She put a mask on.
Exactly. And then she went...
She thought she was Darth Vader.
And then just wiped to credit to written by Leslie Headland.
It was a weird wipe.
Great job, Big Les. That's a reference. I'm not calling her a Big Lesbian.
That's her name, I swear.
Put up a picture of Big Les.
But yeah, inconsequential episode. It is annoying that Leslie Headland's wife in like 3 or 4 minutes of every episode just to remind us she's still there, which makes, again, she has to be the bad guy.
Just so she can pay the bills as well.
Yes, I'm sure that helps. But she could have been an actual character, but no.